world that I live in, we communicate by tweets, via Instagram, and when we really get verbose, we do a whole Facebook post. So I thank you for reminding all of us that in a complicated world, sometimes it takes more than 248 characters or whatever it is to make the point. And your work supports serious writers who are dealing with serious issues in a serious time. So thank you all very much for what you do. The book that I am writing, don't tell the publisher, I'm a little bit behind, please. But we're making progress. And as Ed indicated, the theme of the book is not complicated. When I ran for president in 2016, what I called for was not just getting elected, and obviously I tried to do that, but what I called for was a political revolution. And what I said then, and what I say now, is that real change never comes from the top on down. It really is not, despite what the media thinks, all about one person. And if you look at the history of our country, whether it was the union movement, which helped create the American middle class, whether it was the civil rights movement in this country, whether it was the women's movement in this country, whether it was the gay rights movement in this country, whether it was the environmental movement in this country, none of these movements succeeded because there was one person who was also smart who did it all. So it was Lyndon Johnson who signed the Voting Rights Act, but it was millions of people, along with Martin Luther King Jr., who demanded that we have got to end racism in the United States. And we've got to open up the polling booths in 1965 to all people, regardless of their color. It was not one woman who made it happen, that women got the right to vote, and that women then and now are fighting for equality. It was millions of women standing up and saying they will no longer be second-class citizens. So change always comes via grassroots activism. When millions of people stand up and they look around them and they say the status quo is not working. It makes no sense for workers not to be able to collectively negotiate a contract. It makes no sense for women to be paid significantly less than men for doing the same work. It makes no sense that people, because of the color of their skin, could not attend a school or actually vote. It makes no sense that because people love somebody of the same gender, they continue to be discriminated against. So people look around, and after very brave individuals raised the issues, planted the flag, were told that they were crazy, that they were wrong, society came around and change took place. So what the political revolution is about is looking at what is happening in America today and asking whether or not we are satisfied with a nation in which is moving day by day into an oligarchic form of society, where a handful of extremely wealthy people increasingly control the economic life of this country and the political life of this country. And during the campaign, we threw out some ideas. And we said, hey, we didn't exactly say hey. We said, why is it that the United States of America, our great nation, is the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a right? And I threw that idea out, and people said, why Washington Post did 38 editorials attacking me. How can you move to Medicare for all? Impossible, can't be done. Yeah, the Canadians can do it, the British can do it, Scandinavia can do it, every major country in Europe can do it. But somehow in this country, when we are spending far more per capita on health care than the people of any other country, when the cost of prescription drugs in this country is far, far higher than in any other country, somehow or another in America, we cannot pass a Medicare for all program. So during the campaign, I was told that I was extreme, I was fringy, nobody believed in that idea. But you know what? Turns out that a lot of people believed in that idea, and today a majority of the American people believe in that idea. 3 years ago or so, when I introduced a Medicare for All bill, I proudly had one sponsor, me. This time we introduced that bill, we have 16 sponsors, co-sponsors in the Senate, and a heck of a lot more in the House. And an idea that a few years ago seemed radical and extreme, a whole lot of people are running for office today, demanding that health care be a right in this country and that we expand Medicare to cover every man, woman, and child. People are moving at the grassroots level. Change is taking place. A couple of years ago, working with wonderful people, and I'll be with them on Saturday actually, called Jobs for Justice. And these are people who a few years ago also came up with a radical idea, so-called radical, that I incorporated into my campaign. And here is the radical idea, that in the United States of America, in the year 2018, if you work 40 hours a week or more, you should not be living in poverty. Oh, what a radical idea! Saturday, I'm going to Disneyland. And no, I'm not going to meet Mickey or Donald. And I'm not going on any of the rides. Do you know where I'm going to Disneyland? I'm going to Anaheim because an extraordinarily profitable corporation, Disney Corporation, which recently negotiated a contract with its CEO for some $400+ million, pays people who work in that amusement park wages that are so low that many of them are living in tents. I'm going there to raise the issue that we have a gentleman who is obviously a brilliant businessman, Jeff Bezos, who owns Amazon, who sees his wealth increase $275 million every single day, but pays thousands of his workers at Amazon who work in warehouses wages that are so low that they have to go on food stamps or Medicaid. And during the campaign, we raised the issue that maybe there is something fundamentally wrong and immoral when we have a situation in America where the three wealthiest people now own more wealth than the bottom half of America. That maybe something is inappropriate when today 52% of all new income goes to the top 1%. And it turns out that all across this country, people started scratching their heads and they said, yes, this type of grotesque level of income and wealth inequality where the people on top are doing phenomenally well, while at the same time millions and millions of workers in this country are working 2 or 3 jobs, where our children, if we don't change the dynamics, will have a lower standard of living than their parents, where 40 million people are living in poverty and 120 million people are struggling economically, maybe there is something wrong. And maybe, just maybe, we should create an economy that works for all of us, not just the 1%.